I didn't get any bread.
Just forget it. Let it go.
Excuse me, I think you forgot my bread.
Bread, $2 extra.
$2, but everyone in front of me got free bread.
You want bread?
Yes, please.
$3. What? No soup for you.
Seinfeld has long been hailed as one of the most groundbreaking sitcoms of all time. A show about nothing that turned everyday frustrations into comedy gold. Jerry Seinfeld, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Jason Alexander, and Michael Richards became a legendary foursome, forever etched in television history as characters who were as selfish as they were hilarious. Throughout 9 seasons, a rotating cast of guest stars came and went, serving as unlucky romantic partners or hapless acquaintances caught in the foursome's orbit. Yet among all the actors who joined the show, there was one whose presence became the subject of controversy both on screen and off. That actor was Heidi Swedberg, who played Susan Ross, George Costanza's ill-fated fiancée. The arrival of Susan Ross.
To tell you the truth, I haven't manufactured that one for a number of years. I might have a couple of boxes left in our warehouse in New Jersey. I'd have to check.
Oh, no. George, that's so ugly. We don't want that.
What's the difference? You just read it and mail it right back. These are
Why don't they make them anymore?
Well, for one thing, the glue isn't very adhesive. It takes a lot of moisture to make them stick.
Susan Ross first entered the Seinfeld universe during season 4, where she played an NBC executive meeting with Jerry and George as they pitched their show about nothing. At first, she was simply another minor character in a world filled with quirky guest stars. Yet her chemistry, or lack thereof, with George Costanza turned into a subplot that Larry David and the writers could not resist revisiting. Susan soon became George's girlfriend, and in true Seinfeld fashion, their relationship was marked by disaster. From the start, the humor surrounding Susan was rooted in George's incompetence. A kiss from George cost her job at NBC, Kramer vomited on her, and a trip to her family's cabin ended with it accidentally set on fire. Even when Susan attempted to move on with her life, she became entangled again in George's neurotic world. To audiences, these misadventures were hilarious exaggerations of George's inability to function in relationships. To Susan, the character, they were humiliations piled one after another. While Susan disappeared during seasons 5 and 6, her return in season 7 set the stage for one of the show's most ambitious arcs. George, tired of his lonely existence, decided to embrace normalcy by proposing marriage. Susan accepted, and suddenly Seinfeld was exploring something new, one of its main characters trapped in a season-long engagement that he wanted no part of. The humor was built around George's desperate attempts to escape, while Susan, oblivious to his dread, earnestly planned the wedding. On paper, the storyline seemed like comedic gold. In practice, it created enormous tension behind the scenes. What was supposed to be one of George's funniest arcs turned into a nightmare for Jason Alexander, who found himself unable to connect with his on-screen fiancée. Jason Alexander's frustrations.
I couldn't figure out how to play off of her.
You're being kind.
Her instincts for doing a scene where the comedy was and mine were always misfiring.
Jason Alexander later revealed that working with Heidi Swedberg was one of the most difficult professional challenges of his career. Speaking candidly on Howard Stern's radio show in 2015, Alexander admitted that he found it effing impossible to play off of her. He repeatedly emphasized he had nothing against Swedberg as a person, but instead focused on her acting style, which he felt was completely incompatible with his own. According to Alexander, their comedic rhythms were always misaligned. He explained that when Swedberg delivered a line, he would adjust his performance to match her style, only for her to switch directions in the next take. This constant misfiring left him frustrated and drained. What should have been natural banter between characters often felt forced and awkward. For a show that thrived on precision timing and sharp comedic exchanges, the disconnect was glaring. The problem only deepened when Larry David informed Alexander that George and Susan would not only continue dating, but would actually become engaged. For Alexander, the prospect of filming an entire season alongside an actress he felt he had no chemistry with was daunting. He recalled being shocked at the creative decision, convinced his inability to connect with Swedberg would undermine the humor of this storyline. Yet Larry David saw things differently. David believed that Swedberg's straight, understated style actually enhanced the comedy. As he put it, her ability to play things seriously allowed the writers to unleash the most ridiculous humiliations on Susan without losing the audience's sympathy for George. The worse George treated her, the more viewers laughed. From David's perspective, Swedberg's presence was essential to making George's storyline work. For Alexander, however, the experience was miserable, a daily reminder of how incompatible their approaches were. The cast joins the Backlash.
You want to spend the rest of your life with her?
Yeah.
So? Yeah. This doesn't make any difference.
Nah.
At first, Jason Alexander's complaints about working with Swedberg seemed like personal frustrations, but as the seasons wore on and more of the cast interacted with her, they began to echo his concerns. Both Jerry Seinfeld and Julia Louis-Dreyfus eventually shared scenes with Susan and came away with the same conclusion. It was nearly impossible to find comedic rhythm with her. Alexander recounted how his co-stars began to understand his predicament. After filming with Swedberg, Jerry and Julia reportedly turned to him and said, "You know what? It's effing impossible. It's impossible." Julia even joked, "Don't you want to just kill her?" That offhand remark would prove prophetic, sparking Larry David's idea for how to resolve George's engagement storyline once and for all. Despite the joking atmosphere, the situation underscored a real problem. The core cast, who thrived on lightning-fast timing and outrageous humor, simply didn't know how to mesh with Swedberg's grounded approach. Susan wasn't designed to be absurd. She was a normal person trapped in absurd circumstances. This contrast may have worked on paper, but for the performers, it created friction that never quite translated to seamless comedy on screen. It's important to note that none of the cast members disliked Swedberg personally. By all accounts, she was kind, gracious, and professional. The issue was entirely about style and chemistry, the intangible qualities that make ensemble comedy work. Unfortunately for Swedberg, in a show as tightly constructed as Seinfeld, even a small mismatch became glaringly obvious to both cast and creators. Susan's shocking fate. The decision to kill off Susan came directly from Larry David, who seized on Julia Louis-Dreyfus's joking comment as inspiration. Rather than write Susan out with a conventional breakup, he concocted one of the most bizarre and infamous exits in sitcom history. In the season 7 finale, The Invitations, Susan died after licking toxic wedding invitation envelopes purchased by George. The episode turned what could have been a tragic moment into comedy. George, relieved rather than devastated, became the butt of the joke, as did his friends, who awkwardly offered condolences that rang hollow. "I'm so sorry, George," Elaine muttered half-heartedly, while Jerry quipped, "So I guess you're not getting married?" The scene walked the razor's edge between humor and cruelty, leaving audiences laughing nervously at a storyline that was both shocking and absurd. For Jason Alexander, Susan's death was a relief and a resolution. No longer forced to navigate the difficult chemistry with Swedberg, he could return to working with the core cast whose timing matched his own. Jason Alexander's regret. In the years after Seinfeld, Jason Alexander expressed regret about how his comments regarding Heidi Swedberg were interpreted. Following his appearance on Howard Stern's show, where he described working with her as impossible, the story made headlines that painted Swedberg in an unflattering light. Alexander later clarified that his frustration was never about her as a person, but solely about their conflicting acting styles. On social media, he praised Swedberg's kindness and professionalism, even noting that she often asked him if he had suggestions for improving their scenes together. At the time, Alexander admitted he lacked the maturity and confidence to collaborate more openly. Looking back, he wished he had taken her up on her offers, rather than simply struggling through their scenes in silence. His later apology reframed the narrative, emphasizing that the cast genuinely liked Swedberg personally, even if they had difficulty acting alongside her. For Swedberg, Seinfeld became both a blessing and a curse. While Susan Ross remains her most famous role, the circumstances of her character's death forever linked her name to the narrative that she was difficult to work with. After Seinfeld, she appeared in shows like Gilmore Girls, Bones, and Roswell, steadily working in television, but never again reaching the same cultural prominence. Today, Susan Ross is remembered as one of Seinfeld's most memorable secondary characters, both for her ill-fated engagement to George and infamous death by wedding envelopes. Now it's time to hear from you. Do you think Heidi Swedberg's straight-laced approach to Susan made her character more effective? Let us know in the comments section below.